I know a lot of people have been super happy with episodes 8 and 9 and feels like it's a whole different world. And they're like, oh, the new writing team was on episode 1, 8, and 9. Don't worry, 1, 8, and 9 were all great. So season 2 is going to be amazing.
These new writers have saved us.
So I'll talk about the first big issue that I have with the finale is the visuals. I think that there's a lot of very evident CGI blood, and what's evident about it is the way that light reflects off it. It's like too shiny in these like dark interior rooms, and it's really draws my focus to the fact that it's not real action that's happening. And
There was a citywide blackout, you know, like
lots of people get hurt in situations.
They were showing riots.
I find myself being really just annoyed with Heather because in this whole episode, she's taking Kingpin's side against her boyfriend, Matt. Like, you're sleeping with this guy, but you don't trust him. Like,
welcome to Backseat Directing,
where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
We put out new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And on this episode, we're talking about the season finale of Daredevil Born Again.
3, 2, 1,
action. All right, Andrew, the season of our favorite show has come to an end.
I actually don't really know where you stand on it now. We haven't talked about it all too much since the finale. I know where you stand as of the penultimate episode 8, I think, but then episode 9 is called like Straight to Hell, I believe. And since that one's come out, we really haven't talked too much other than very broad generalizations. I know a lot of people have been super happy with episodes 8 and 9 and feels like it's a whole different world. And they're like, oh, the new writing team was on episode 1, 8, and 9. Don't worry, 1, 8, and 9 were all great. So season 2 is going to be amazing.
These new writers have saved us.
So I'm actually really curious to know in fully how you feel about the finale now that it's out.
I think what we should do is on 3, we both give a rating out of 10 for just episode 9. Just the finale.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, 7.
7.5.
Ooh. Interesting.
My first thought was 7, and then I had some more time to think while you were like ramping
3,
up.
2, 1.
I added the 0.5, and I added the 0.5. I can tell you guys why, because of the fight scenes.
Yeah,
because we got like suited up Frank Castle and suited up Daredevil fighting together, and I was like, that's worth a little bit more juice.
Yeah. And you mean a suited up Frank Castle because he's got his fade back. And we heard so much of.
That's my favorite. Oh.
No, wait. I was literally watching that part and I was like, oh man, Andrew's like, his head is exploding right now.
I've like co-opted that. If Aaron says I do it while I work out without even noticing it.
He does. Like I can see you in my head right now doing like tricep overhead extensions with the dumbbell going locking out overhead.
It's just it sounds so badass. He does such a good job of executing that.
And like it doesn't even sound like Andrew. It literally just sounds like
it's pure impersonation.
Yes.
Man, but I was really glad to see them in action together. It was the first time we've seen them in action together since season 2 of Daredevil, so it's been like a decade.
About damn time.
Yeah. I do have a fair amount of complaints, and if you guys have been following along with our Daredevil journey, I've had a lot of complaints throughout. I'm not a big fan of the show overall. So I don't know, when do you want to get into the issues? Do you want to just barrel into the issues?
Lay them on me.
So I do want to thank you guys for clicking on this episode and watching this with us. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. But I won't bore you guys with too much more of that. Let's talk about issues with the season finale. So I'll talk about the first big issue that I have with the finale is the visuals. I think that there's a lot of very evident CGI blood, and what's evident about it is the way that light reflects off it. It's like too shiny in these like dark interior rooms, and it's really draws my focus to the fact that it's not real action that's happening, and I feel like it interrupts my immersion into the show, especially like when Frank Castle is using the knife and the axe. We see a lot of it, like when he cuts that guy's throat from behind and he gets to I think it's in like the Red Hook area. There's a huge explosion of jugular vein blood that does not look good to me. I have to add that clarification on there. It doesn't look good to me.
Like, I think it looks good. I think it just looks stylized.
I disagree strongly. I think it looks fake. Like, and I don't think fake looks good. Like when he's shooting at the guy's head through the table and the blood is dripping down, I can clearly, to me, see that those holes are not real in the table, and that takes me out of the experience. So I think if it's stylized, the effect of the style should not be taking me out of it. I think that's always going to be bad. And this is kind of a discussion I have had with some people in our comments, which is like style versus like the style and the like opinion based versus objective based. And to me, like one person in the comments was saying, oh, we don't feel very connected to the side characters in this show, and maybe the writers are doing that on purpose because Matt doesn't feel connected. Matt feels disconnected from the world, and he's missing like the people he was connected to. But even if that was a choice, even if that was intentional, which I don't think it is, even if it was, I think that that is objectively a bad decision because you never want to make a movie or show where the audience feels disconnected from your characters to the point where they don't care what happens to them. Because I don't care what happens to Heather. I don't care what happens to Cherry. I don't care what happens to McDuffie. And that's not how you want a show to go down. Even if they don't like your character, they should enjoy not liking them. They should be caught up in hating them, like how we felt about Wilson Fisk in the Netflix series, like how we feel about Homelander in The Boys. That's a good villain. But even when it comes to side characters, like the ones I just mentioned, Cherry McDuffie and Heather, they're like on the good side. I find myself being really just annoyed with Heather because in this whole episode, she's taking Kingpin's side against her boyfriend, Matt. Like, you're sleeping with this guy, but you don't trust him. Like, he's telling you, it should just be a very simple conversation where Matt's like, look, I have had lengthy legal interactions with this man and his institutions, and I have seen it cause death and destruction for good people like Mrs. Cardenas in season 1 of Daredevil. I've this woman who was innocent, a good person, and I personally knew her and was connected to her, had to die because of this man's corruption. Like, simple as that. He's a bad person.
I've put him in jail.
Yeah, and that conversation
legally
is not happening in the show. It should be very easy.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. I don't really feel connected to any of these characters. I was really liking or at least giving the series a chance for the first few episodes.
I can attest to that. You really did.
Yeah.
You were defending it to a degree.
Yeah.
Saying give it a chance,
like, I was having fun. I was enjoying it. When I was watching the episodes, I was like actually drawn into the episodes and paying attention, because like sometimes when you're not fully enjoying a show or a movie and you're just watching at home, it's very easy to go on your phone or, like get distracted with other stuff, or like maybe I'll be editing while the TV's on and it's like you're kind of watching it, but not really. No, for the first few episodes, I was focused in and I was actually enjoying it. But then, like you said, like over time, they kept setting things up and not delivering on the setups. Like something would happen at the end of one episode, and then the next episode, that character's not even in the episode. And they did that multiple times.
And again, I think I really want to hit this nail over and over again, that to me, that is an objective truth of narrative storytelling. What you're describing is if you go to the end of an episode and you give us this cliffhanger where he takes out his billy club and he's looking at his suits, that is hinting to the audience that you are about to see something cool, that you're about to see him suit up in the next episode. So diverting from that, I think, is objectively a negative on the show. I don't think that is like a subjective criticism that people can disagree about online. Well, it's like, this is poor storytelling.
Well, that's one example that they did it. The next one was Frank Castle showed up at the end of one of the episodes.
Episode 4.
And then he didn't come back until the very end.
Episode 9. Yeah.
So like a huge gap between that. Like they made it feel like, oh, they're going to get together in this next episode and fight either each other or fight together. And none of that happened. And then the next time that this happened was Bullseye in episode 1. He didn't show up until basically, 8? And then when he did show up in 8, at the end of 8, he ends up shooting towards Fisk, ends up hitting Daredevil because he jumped in front, or Matt Murdock, whatever you want to say. Yeah. He jumps in front of the bullet. And it's like, all right, cool. Bullseye is back in the picture. Wasn't in episode 9 at all.
Except for the little cameo at the end. They show him like walking in a room.
Yeah, but that means nothing to me because I don't even know if he's going to show up next season or not, because they keep whatever's at the end of the episode is not going to show up until 5 episodes later.
And these are perfect, excellent examples that you're giving. Like I feel like it's so impossible to argue against it, but people still do. And people in so many comment circles that I'm reading are saying, just wait till season 2.
Yeah.
Oh, the team that Matt pulled together is anticlimactic, and it's a poor setup because they led us to believe he was going to pull together some awesome army, and it's 5 people, only 5, and they're like randoms, like what's Josie and her bar going to do? And then
she's probably got like a sawed-off shotgun behind the gun.
I mean, she could probably do more than some people. I don't want to knock her, but she's not going to do more than Luke Cage. But they're saying like, people in these comment circles are saying, okay, that team doesn't look great. I saw one person say, but those are the people that Karen called. Wait till Matt gets on the phone and calls his people. What? You're so optimistic. I wish I had your optimism. They're like assuming that season 2 is going to have the Defenders, even though they just didn't show them in the finale. Like, they're so blindly optimistic that great things are coming no matter what. Like, you'll see 6 episodes in a row that are bad, and they're like, oh, wait till the arc in the final 3 episodes. It's like, if I hear hoofbeats, I think horse. I don't like hear hoofbeats and be like, man, I can't wait for this zebra in the next episodes. It could be a duck.
Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, that's the thing I don't like the most about this whole season is their like structure of the story of setting things up and then not delivering. It's kind of like if your parents are like, hey, when you're a kid, they're like, hey, we're gonna go to McDonald's for dinner tonight. And then dinner comes around and you have vegetables. No McDonald's.
Well, the ordering of the events feels so like frustrating that it almost makes you think that you could change things around, because the order of events seems so unintentional. It's like you could move these puzzle pieces here and here and it wouldn't really change the story.
Yeah. And then people have been defending, oh, well, that's because of the old writers. They got rid of those and the new writers are back in. Okay. It's still the way that it is right now. Like, it doesn't, just because new writers came in and they kept some of the old story doesn't mean that the old story is now a part of something great.
Well, to go back to the metaphor you just used, you have this plate full of vegetables and they're like, oh, sorry, like McDonald's was closed. You're not gonna be like, oh, well, now these vegetables taste like McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful.
It doesn't change the reality of like the consequential events.
Yeah, I got excited for McDonald's.
Like you bring out your food at the restaurant, they're like, sorry, the chef's sick back there. So you just have to eat the food that he sneezed on.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he was sick.
Maybe I'll get it in 2 days from now.
Yeah, maybe I'll get a good meal next time I come here. And people are literally approaching it with that. And I'm glad that people like it. I don't want it to seem like I'm frustrated that people like it. I am frustrated that it doesn't seem like people understand my perspective, which is hard. Anytime somebody does, you don't feel like your perspective's understood. But like, I want the show to be liked. I just wish that I was in the group that was liking it, which would happen if the show was better.
A little elitist over there. If the show was good, I'd be in the group with all the good people.
I really feel like the show is lacking so much. I don't understand Heather's motivations. I don't know why, as a psychotherapist or whatever she is, she's completely blind to Fisk's evils, and she can talk to Matt about how Daredevil's no different than Muse, but she apparently sees a difference between Daredevil and Muse, who are over here in the same camp somehow, but Kingpin is over here despite his insane number of crimes.
Yeah.
And he got acquitted of his crimes because, as Vanessa said, the corruption with Agent Nadim and all that. No shit, I had to rewind and put on subtitles to be like, there's no way that she just said and all that to bridge the gap of explaining his acquittal from all the crimes Wilson Fisk was found guilty of in season 3. The corruption with Ray Nadim and all that. If you don't remember, Ray Nadim is the FBI agent from season 3 who was helping Matt try to expose Fisk. But like,
great character,
great side character, again, like Ben Urich, and Father Lantom. But like, what does that even mean? That's supposed to be our explanation as to why Fisk is free on the streets. Number 1, it comes in episode 9 in the finale of the show, and number 2, it explains nothing at all. It doesn't make any sense.
That didn't make you feel any better?
It didn't make me feel. I was like, what the fuck did you just say?
This like mass murderer and corrupt politician guy is in office, and you're telling me that when someone says, oh, he's clear, that doesn't make you feel comfortable?
No, it makes me very nervous. I saw a post the other day that was like, because Thunderbolts comes out next week, their post said, man, there was just a blackout in New York City and Kingpin took over and his militia forces on the ground, and next week they're going to have to deal with Sentry killing everyone and turning them into shadows and Thunderbolts. And the quoted tweet was like, just move out of New York.
Yeah, that was actually going to be the next point that I brought up, is that
the connection of the worlds.
Yeah, like before, and the Escape Pod podcast was talking about this, and I was liking what they were saying, and they were enjoying the show a lot more than we were overall. But they were talking about how the Daredevil series for this season is a lot more into the MCU than the original 3 episodes. They kind of really stuck to the shadows, and like all of the crimes and stuff that Daredevil's facing are like smaller crimes that don't necessarily like justify Spider-Man and Iron Man coming in,
like by the time the public was aware of things like the Hand or Fisk, they were going into prison,
right?
Already.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because Daredevil's so good. He made sure that they didn't become a bigger problem.
yeah, they were just like shadow threats, and they did a really good job of writing it that way, where it made sense.
Yeah. But now, like, there was a citywide blackout. Like
Lots of people get hurt in those situations.
They were showing riots. Like
looting.
Yeah, like it looked like, I don't know. It looked like other heroes in New York City would actually be out there trying to stop things, and maybe they were, and just didn't show it.
Dude.
But we have to believe that they didn't.
Dude, the swordsman would have been out there. Fist didn't have him chained out. The swordsman would have been hitting the streets. So this is like a complaint I've seen online too, and I personally don't necessarily have a problem with this. I think for like Doctor Strange, it's pretty easy to say that he was like in another dimension, off world, whatever, on another part of the world. He's like a global hero.
Spider-Man's in space, probably.
Spider-Man, there's no real good excuse other than saying maybe he's fighting crime, they're just not showing it. But this doesn't bother me that much because I'm so focused on the issue that I don't like the plot of the show, and it should be better written. That's like really far down the line for me of like worrying about the MCU characters being brought into the show. And even the same thing with like, oh, why aren't the Defenders in the bar at the end? I don't care about that nearly as much. It's so far down because it's like I just want the dialogue to be better and like the situations to make more sense. And like this could be concerns, but the story is just really a jumbled mess. And I know, like you said, everyone's talking about how there was different showrunners and like different episodes made by different people. Like ultimately, that's the fault of the people producing the show. That doesn't make it any better. They should have put out a cohesive vision. And if they were going to scrap it, don't tell me you're going to scrap it and rehaul just to make little tweaks.
Like a soft
relaunch. They made small tweaks. That's evident. Like putting him in the suit in episode 1 and the fight with Bullseye and all that. but like,
whoa, can you elaborate? Can you elaborate here? Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But like, you never had to say a word. They didn't have to put out a statement saying yada yada, it's not that good, we're going to overhaul it. Just say nothing and quietly make your changes.
I think the reason they said something is because it got reported that those people,
that the showrunners were changing,
weren't on the show anymore.
But they don't always have to make like stuff like that does happen where like an actor drops out and a new actor jumps in, and they don't always explain it. Like they might be like, oh, scheduling conflicts sometimes, and that's like a blanket statement to cover like whatever the issue may have been if it wasn't scheduling. Like you're not obligated.
I don't think people would accept that though.
I guess maybe they were pressured to have to say something, but
you can only say and all that in a fictional universe. In the real world, people actually they want more.
Then at least instead of saying we're gonna like scrap it and start over, say like we're gonna make some changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the blood with like Punisher and stuff and how it looked fake to you. I think some of it did look cool, and I do think like
sorry, I don't write this down.
I do think that it looks good, but at the same time there is something still off about it, and I think it's not because the blood itself looks like so fake, but the whole scene looks like there's just a lot being added in post. Like in the scene where they're fighting in Matt's room or whatever in his loft, there's like strobe lights going on, and there's like fog in there and haze, and there's just a lot of stuff happening on the screen, and like it does add like texture, I guess, but it feels animated. It makes it feel like it's not really there. And in the original show, they didn't do any of that. They didn't feel the need to have to like visually spice it up. They just seemingly, not saying that it was as simple as this, but they seemingly grabbed the camera, pointed it at the people doing the fight, and let them fight.
Yeah,
You
and
know, like,
their world had a lot more like grit and grain and
yeah,
like interesting colors.
there didn't have to be sparks flying in front of the screen and or in front of the camera and all this. Like, there's just a lot of stuff being added.
I feel
And
very confident that you could just take a bunch of pictures from Born Again and the Netflix series, and you could lay them out 100 pictures from each, and I with 100% accuracy could put them in piles from which show they are. Like,
yeah,
I could put the Born Again pile over here and the Daredevil Netflix series over here, and that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if they just had different styles. But I just don't like the Born Again style because it has that smooth 4K like look to it. And in our TikTok page, I've put up pictures from Netflix's show right next to pictures from Born Again, and Born Again just has this kind of like boring look to it, where it's like flatter and like more one note in terms of the coloring with the lights, and I just don't like it.
yeah. I see. I don't mind like the colors necessarily. I just mind all of the fake stuff being added in to try to like spice it up and make it seem more dramatic than it actually is. Because them fighting is already intense. It's already dramatic. Like, we don't need all of that extra
Bells and
digital
whistles.
stuff in there because it makes the actual characters feel like they're not real too.
Yeah, one thing I do, I mean, they do these very hyper stylized moments that I think are cool additions to the show,
Mm.
like having the blue lighting on Bullseye and the red lighting on Daredevil in
Yeah.
episode 8. And then they did some cool stuff again with the aspect ratios in the
Yep.
season finale, which they do fun, unique stuff like that. And I appreciate it in those moments, but it feels like these little nuggets of cool
Yeah.
camera tricks and lighting things. And then I don't feel like it's very consistent. And then the other thing,
Oh, go ahead.
I want to talk about the thing I wrote down, which is I feel like the backgrounds don't look nearly as good. Like, one thing Sarah was complaining about while we watched it is New York sky being filled with stars, and it looks super fake because New York obviously has a lot of pollution, and you can't see that many stars in New York. It's not like some country road somewhere. Did that bother you at all when you were watching this? Like, when they're at Red Hook and he's leaning up against the rocks with Karen, it's like a full blue screen background, and they're on like some generic rocks. It feels like the set of the fight at the end of Endgame, and then like the city in the background like kind of looks bad.
Um, yeah, I mean, I agree that it doesn't look as good. I honestly don't specifically remember that shot.
It's not a super memorable show.
Which, I mean, is honestly not a good thing either, right?
They went to this spot and they sat, and they're like, Matt's going to go in and fight the people at Red Hook, and then they sat there and talked for a little bit, and then they were like, ugh, too much. That's too much for this episode. Let's save it for season 2. And then they just walked away from the action. They're like, we already had one fight this episode. We need 2.
Yeah.
That's a little cumbersome, isn't it?
Yeah. Shoot, what was I gonna say? I don't remember. It's gone. It's lost forever.
The one shot was cool though. The one they showed the city and it was dark and then it like switched to light. But I think it was very evident that the first shot was just the same shot, but like made to be day for night because it has that look to it.
I remember what I was gonna say. I didn't like in the fight in the house how they like shot or showed Punisher in slow motion and Daredevil almost in hyperspeed. They're definitely like, I think what they're doing is they're dropping the shutter on him, so he's a little more blurry. So it makes it like basically the camera's not catching as many frames, so it makes it feel like his hand's going from here to here in less time. So like they're like speeding his stuff up, but then the Punisher was in like this. It didn't feel like smooth slow motion, and then cutting back and forth, it just made it feel weird. And maybe it's like their style choice was trying to explain like Daredevil is fighting in real time and he's very aware of what the Punisher is doing, so it's like, and because he doesn't want him to do it, like maybe it's going in slow motion for him because, you know, like he's so focused on it. But it just didn't look visually pleasing to me. And I love slow motion, you know, but I love slow motion with a purpose.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember in season 2, but there's another portion where Matt and Frank are fighting together, and Frank is trying to kill the people and Matt is fighting his people. Like, Matt has his own people to worry about, but he's simultaneously stopping Frank from killing his opponents. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
And this just feels like the weak version of that because Matt's fighting his people, but going, Frank, no. And then like he still gets but in season 2 of Netflix's Daredevil, which is the first 4 episodes of that season are really strong, even if people complain about the season as a whole. They're at that cemetery or whatever, and Frank like takes this guy down, and then he goes to grab a hammer, and he's gonna like cave his skull in, and Matt like throws his billy club and knocks the hammer out of his hand, and Matt's just like managing to fight his people, but also because he has this 3D model of the room with this radar sense, he's able to like quickly stop Frank, and it really highlights Matt's abilities and makes him seem super cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can understand in that scenario, Frank was super injured and Matt was fresh. We have the reverse scenario here in this episode. Matt's injured with a bullet wound and Frank is fresh. So maybe he doesn't have as much of an ability to stop it.
He just got a nice clean shave too, so like
yeah. He's super light and aerodynamic.
Yeah, he's thirsty for blood.
Saw the way he jumped at that guy across the counter. He was like, he's like an air guy.
He did the Wolverine jump there with both fists in the air.
That was the highlight of the episode, I guess, though, because I also liked Frank's moment with the corrupt cops and calling them clowns. I don't really understand why Fisk lets his vigilante task force wear the symbol and idolize a vigilante. They wear the symbol, have a tattoo of his symbol on their neck, and like idolize him and try to recruit him onto their side. But the whole concept of the task force is hunting down vigilantes. And he's like the worst vigilante because he kills everybody he touches. By far the worst vigilante.
And then
Fisk allow that.
The end credit scene I did not like.
What was it again?
Punisher's in the cage.
Yeah, that guy's really stupid.
And yeah, like,
why do you think he's in a cage with 2 handcuffs on?
Why would you shake his hand? Like,
you also know who he is. He's a weapon of mass destruction. He's an animal. Like,
yeah,
you can't put your hand in an animal's cage. Might as well be a lion.
Yeah, there was no point at which I was like, oh yeah, like he's not trying to hustle this guy. He has good intentions, wanting to greet this cop that's guarding him.
Frank doesn't say anything without a reason, so he's not going to chit chat with this guy without a purpose.
And even if you don't know who this is, which he clearly said that he knows,
everyone in New York does, especially the cops.
Why would anyone go up and shake the hand of the criminal who is a vigilante? Why would you even risk it?
That guy also has to know how many of his comrades that Punisher just absolutely obliterated in that like construction building.
Yeah, that wasn't believable to me, and I was kind of like, it left a kind of a bad taste, you know.
It was like the ending. Yeah, it was a get out of jail free.
It was just like, it was writing. That's convenient, you know. Like, also, there's how many vigilantes down here, and there's only that one cop.
Yeah,
guarding them all. Like, come on.
You would have convinced me better if Frank did something like absolutely insane, like shattered his own arm to like pull it out,
or like bullseyes above in the event and drops a key in the cage or something, you know, like, or like
Vigilantes Unite.
He like throws the key and it goes directly into the cuff lock.
Pretty cool.
And then
that would kind of not make sense too, but that would be a cool scene.
He's just and then it locks in and then he turns it. That would have been cooler, I think.
Bullseye throws it so that it not only lands into the lock, but also turns it over.
When it lands in, he just rotates. You know, like the way he twists his wrists, it like flings open in one solid movement.
I hope we get some better Bullseye moments in the next season because he was such a strong part of season 3. One of the best villains we've ever seen.
I bet he's not even going to be in it.
Dude, there's a part I feel like nobody ever talks about, but when Matt and Nadeem break into Bullseye's apartment and they're like going through his safe, then they run out of the building right as Bullseye gets back, but he sees them in like the reflection of something across the street, and he's shooting at them. They don't even know how they're getting shot at because he's downstairs in the same building. He's ricocheting bullets from across the street back into one floor above him, and it's like they do such incredible stuff with him.
So good.
He does such awesome stuff, man.
It's the best season, right?
He takes like a pile of glass at one point, and it's just like
It's the best season, right?
Yeah, it's the best season.
Okay.
Upon rewatch, best season. It's so good.
Because a while there, like I was like, yeah, season 3's up top, and you were like, no, season 1, which respectable.
I'm with you.
You know,
I rewatched it, and because I'd rewatched season 1 at that point more recently than season 3, but season 3, I've watched them both back to back now, and the scene in the prison is hard to rival, and then the bulletin scene, that fight scene is incredible.
Did you hear Charlie Cox saying that scene was like 12 pages long? And that he thought that prison scene, that oneer, which was like a 10-minute oneer. He thought that the writer just forgot to put in an end of one scene.
He's
And
like,
he just kept flipping and flipping, and then he's like, oh, this is where it ends.
here's the oneer.
That's where the oneer ends. I was like, dang, that's crazy.
Must have been incredible to get that whole set because it's
yeah.
all real. It's not them going down some blue screen,
And, like,
way.
There's probably CGI in there somewhere, but
To fish things together, maybe. Yeah, who knows?
But like, barely.
Yeah.
Like, I'd say like a good percentage of the fights in this show were CGI. Like, even in a shot where it is two real people fighting, the frame still probably has like 40% CGI in it.
They also do a lot of cuts in this show, and I don't necessarily knock them for that because a lot of stuff with action has cuts and it's fine.
Yeah.
What I don't like is them cutting to another scenario during the fight.
Right.
Like cutting to the Wilson Fisk scenario where he's attacking Adam during the Daredevil fight with Muse. I've been waiting to watch Daredevil fight. Can I just watch the scene where he fights? Like, just write these as two separate moments in the show.
Yeah. I don't necessarily mind that, but I do think it would be, at least the way that they've set up the story, better to separate it.
That's more of a personal nitpick. I just wanted to watch that fight scene.
But like, if the story's good and like these things were really ramping up to those two moments, like it can be cool to go back and forth between two different like conflicts.
I just don't care about the Wilson Fisk side. Is the problem with that's, and it's more of a plot thing. But like they've spent so much time on him being upset that Vanessa slept with somebody when he wasn't even around.
Yeah,
and it's like, how long are we going to spend on this marriage and this couples counseling and all that? Come on.
I know how that feels. It's tough. It's tough.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so in the beginning of this episode, you were like, hey, do you want to start with the negatives?
It's all negatives.
Do you have anything
I already did
nice to say?
I said some positives. I said that I liked some of their camera tricks, every once in a while. I think that,
obviously you like the main cast.
Yeah, I'm glad they at least brought Deborah Ann Wall back in the last episode. I wish they had never written her off. That would have been a far better scenario. I think she's great in the show. I like her as Karen. Lots of people love her as Karen. Also, it just doesn't make sense to me writing wise because she sat in Wilson Fisk's face and said, your buddy James Wesley, I shot him 7 times because the clip ran out. He deserved more. She was ready to die in that moment. She was ready for him to attack her. And you're telling me this woman who since season 1 of the show has had people trying to kill her like every single month left New York because of like, she's upset?
Because of grief.
New York is obviously a big part of her, enough to where somebody tried to frame her for murder and then 2 different people tried to kill her. The guy tried to strangle her in her prison cell and then the other assassin tried to like knife her in her house. Still didn't move out of New York. So I think she's pretty set where she is.
Yeah.
But whatever.
She's
hard as nails.
Yeah. No, and like her tension between obviously Daredevil and the Punisher, it's like a really interesting dynamic.
They're a throuple.
Yeah.
She did almost leave in season 3 though, to be fair. She almost left with everything ramping up with Fisk. But like that was with immediate present danger to her life. Everybody when she left is like locked up.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, and she, even in season 3, she ultimately decided to stay and help fight against Fisk and everything. So I feel like she's more of a fight over flight type of person. But
yeah. All right, I think this is a good place to kind of wrap up this episode. We've talked a lot about Daredevil lately, and it's been a lot of fun. Before Born Again even came out, we did a episode review per season of the original Netflix show. So season 1, we did an episode. 2, we did an episode. 3, we did an episode. That kind of got us ready for Born Again. Born Again dropped, and we did a review on the first 2 episodes. And then from there, Andrew did a solo episode talking about Daredevil Born Again and his complaints. And then a week or 2 later, Andrew and I hopped on together and did another episode, and now this one. So we've talked a lot about Daredevil. So if you did enjoy this episode and you haven't seen those ones yet, maybe go back and check them out and let us know what you think.
We're going to put them all together to make a 10-hour movie of review.
Yeah.
Season 1 through 4.
Dude, that first episode we did with Zach was 2 hours long. That was
one of Daredevil.
That was crazy.
Deal.
Yeah, we were hyped up. But yeah, let us know what you think down in the comments. Are we absolutely insane for not liking this show very much? Are we in the minority? Do you guys agree with us? Maybe, probably not, because no one agrees with you on the internet. But let us know in the comments. Either way, we post new full episodes every Monday and Thursday, but we also put out some extra episodes too. Right now we're playing The Last of Us Part 2 alongside the show. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss anything, hit that subscription button and notification bell. We're on every social media platform. Andrew, where are we?
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X. We are all over the place. Make sure that you guys check us out on there and follow us on all those channels. You also can join us on our Discord. The link is in the description below. And Aaron, what is the Discord? How does that work?
The Discord's great. It's like this giant group chat with a bunch of us and our friends and past guests of the show and fans of the show. We get to talk about movies, TV shows, comics, video games, pretty much anything in media that's coming out. We're talking about it, seeing who likes what, seeing who saw what. We also do like polls and debates, and we do like ranking lists, and we're like, hey, like I really like this director, and someone like ranks all their movies, and it's a lot of fun. It's really cool.
People beef with me over how I rated Sinners.
That's right. So if that's something you're interested in, you will just have to pay the fee of.
It is absolutely fun.
Totally free. Just click on the link. If the link is expired, because it does expire quick, which is actually kind of annoying, just comment on this video saying that it's expired, and we'll send you the link directly so you can join in. It's a lot of fun in there.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and
that's a wrap.